Tottenham have just lost 2-1 to Aston Villa at home in what is potentially Harry Kane's last game at White Hart Lane, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Marlon, how are you? First of all, this is a sad time for Tottenham.
Well, where do you start with this? It's the club's in a mess, and that performance summed up everything today. Mason's with that starting lineup was when I saw Winks playing, and do you know what I thought? Yeah, he can't start Winks. You just can't do it. But it's not like Winks was our worst midfielder. Højbjerg was just as bad. Ali just wasn't on it. I think Ali's played too many games recently, and he just needed a bit of a rest and should have probably been substituted a lot early on. But this is a complete mess. Do you know what? If Harry wants to leave, it's kind of, you can see why. If he's a fan as well, and this is what people need to realize, he's frustrated, right? We're all frustrated. And the fact that, this fans were back, and that's the performance you give after everything this season, that is what you give. Says it all. Says everything about the players right now.
And you just said it was a mess. What was the biggest mess on the field for you today? Was there a particular player for you?
So I'm not going to sit there and dig Reguilón out, but yeah, he's made the two biggest mistakes for both goals, right? But the midfield was so poor. This is Ali, Højbjerg, and Winks. I don't know what it was, but as soon as Winks and Højbjerg get together in our midfield, it just goes pear-shaped. I'm not entirely sure why it happens, but it does. And I've got a catalogue of things that maybe when Winks starts, the both of them don't really know what they're meant to be doing. And that just seems to be Højbjerg just stops defending and, intercepting. But, oh, my God, it was just... basically, substitution should have happened at halftime. Reguilón should have probably been the first.
Yeah.
He was the main reason. You can't even sit there and blame Eric Dyer. Eric Dyer is not the greatest, but actually Reguilón caused him so many problems. Right? And I think Reguilón's performance summed up his season. He's okay going forwards, but defensively, we're just, he can't do that in the Premier League. Real Madrid are not going to bring him back. They'll just buy someone else.
Yeah. Real Madrid are in a very weird position, and I don't think they're going to want to take Reguilón back. But as for Reggie and Højbjerg, as well as you've just mentioned, they were doing so well at the start of the season. There's so much talent in there. How much do you put down to confidence? Because we know Højbjerg can be one of our best players in the whole squad, and so can Reggie. So how much of it is it down to confidence for you?
Well, I think with Reggie, I think as long as you ain't defending, he's okay. He's okay going forward. So for me, if he's in a team that doesn't have to defend, he's okay. Højbjerg tonight, it is probably a bit down to tiredness. But I just think with Winks just puts him off next to him. It's really weird to say this, but it seems to be Højbjerg only ever seems to play all right when Sissoko's next to him. Not entirely sure why, because Sissoko's not the best. But it just seems to be that's the only midfield this season that seems to have worked. Every time we've changed it, moved it on, or played someone next to Højbjerg, it just hasn't worked. Gio, to a certain extent, does work. But again, I think we expect more from Gio because he's a ball carrier and everything like that. But yeah, it's just so strange to be telling you right now, Sissoko and Højbjerg is probably our best partnership we've got. And even that's not great. But you look at the start of the season, that was the two. So everyone can sit there and go, Sissoko's this, Sissoko's that. But at the end of the day, when it comes to a starting 11 and balance, that one's the one that seemed to work.
Would you class Sissoko as part of that deadwood that we have to get rid of in the summer?
So it's a weird one. I think he's never going to be the greatest player. I think his price tag has always been an issue, considering who else we could have bought that summer. But I probably wouldn't. I'd probably get rid of some more others and have Sissoko around that squad. You go by the documentary, he does have a big influence in that change room. And if Kane's going to leave, who's going to be that voice in the change room? Because Højbjerg comes out and says all this stuff, but is he saying anything in the dressing room? Alderweireld looks like, he'll probably be gone this summer. It's where do you start? Where do you start? And that's the main issue. We've got all these players, and are any of them actually? Do you know what? We look at it and probably think they're not even Europa League level. Maybe the conference is where we need to be. I don't want to be in it, but maybe that is our level right now.
Hell no. Hell no.
What can you do? What can you? That was so poor, and the fact that the fans were in there tonight, and the fact that the players gave that performance, it sums everything up. And Daniel Levy, I can't believe. Do you know what? I'm not even angry anymore. I think it's becoming a point where this is just happening too regular, and everyone's, people, he put that in the program notes this morning, right? And that's what he's come out with, and that's the performance we get. Obviously, he's got no bearing. This squad have lost interest in him as well.
What do you make of the Reggie own goal? Because for me, I think it's very, very unlucky. When you play with shin pads and it hits like a certain part of it, it'll fling the other side of the pitch. And it's just a rare circumstance that's happened. And obviously his confidence is already low and it wasn't going to help.
So, but he wasn't ready. And that's his whole positioning was
How
wrong.
do you mean? Expand on what you mean by he wasn't ready.
So when the ball's come across, because of how he's positioned himself, he hasn't. So he wants to go on his left foot, but he's then swung with his right, and you're like, actually, if you're a better left back, you will be ready for them crosses coming in and know where your body shape is and everything. His body shape was wrong, and actually, it's probably not surprising that's happened to him. It's unfortunate. Don't get me wrong, it is unfortunate, right? Because most of the time, it'd probably go in the stands, go for a corner, or, Lloris saves it. And Lloris, has been caught out by it as well. But at the end of the day, if his positioning is wrong to start with, that's going to happen. And it happens to many, centre-backs and many people that score in goals. So I get that. But at the same time, he needs to be aware of what's going around him when he's defending.
Yeah. And from that perspective, it's Reggie's fault then, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. There's no one else, because at that precise moment, you're looking at that cross and it's causing no danger. You as a defender are, programmed, trained, coached to defend a certain way, and that you don't defend like that. No left back, not even a championship, defender's going to defend like that. I don't want
to put too much blame on Ryan Mason because he's a new manager. Like, the squad was bad when he got here. He's not going to be here next season. It's kind of a moot point saying it's his fault because they were individual errors, both goals.
Yeah. But
do you put any of this down to him today? I mean, you could argue the lineup.
You do have to put some onus on the manager. Yeah, I can't sit there and say, I can't every week go, you know what, he's only here for this, that, and the other. At the end of the day, he said yes.
He's still here to do a job.
He's still here to do a job. And if the rumours are true that Ledley was offered it and then Ledley said, no, I'm not ready, he should have said that too. He should have come out and said he wasn't ready. I'm looking at it and going, why is Chris Powell not doing it? He's had over 300 games as management. Maybe let him do it. But at the same time, you can't manage your friends. And that's a big key thing here. You can't manage your friends. And Harry Kane is probably telling him who's to play as well. I won't be surprised because some of the players that have been playing, you kind of get this, what, Ali coming back. Harry Kane knows he plays better when Ali's around. So you never know. You never know.
Before we go then, if Kane's to leave and that's to be his last game at White Hart Lane, that's a sad thought.
Well, this is the thing. It's a very, very sad thought. But this is not just tonight. Yeah, you have to look at the past. You have to look at the whole Levy, ENIC, and everything that they've done. This is not new. It's just because we got three good years under Poch. We got lucky, right? Because if you look at,
carry on.
You just have to look at the whole 21 years that ENIC have been in charge, right? And I think seeing Martin Yeo the other day just brought it all back to me to why I do not like this man, right? He sacked a man we all loved. Let's be honest, none of us wanted him sacked, and you sack him at half time. At the end of the day, that sums up Daniel Levy and his personality. Yeah, he got the Poch thing right, luckily, right? But at the end of the day, when Poch wanted that painful rebuild, it should have been done with Poch. He went and brought in Mourinho. That's down to Levy. Everything now is down to Levy, and that's my thing. You've got to look at the bigger picture here now. And actually, that tonight's game sums up ENIC, if I'm being honest. Yeah, had a great little spell in between. went downhill for the first half, tried to come back in the second half, probably a bit too late, and then it's going back downhill again. It's just the same cycle. How many times do we have to take this as fans? Levy, do you know what? I'm not even fussed. What I'm more fussed about is I don't mind if Enoch stay. We need to change our chairman. At the end of the day, I found there was a stat the other day that came out of a private limited company. Daniel Levy is the third longest running chairman of a private limited company in the UK. That sums it all up. Sums it all up for me. Like, we need a change. We need a change at the top. Let's try something different, right? Because he's all asking about bringing an attacking manager, right? And we've lost our DNA and our philosophy. But at the end of the day, if we can't defend, it doesn't matter who you're bringing up front. We've scored over 100 goals this year. We can't defend. You need to bring in a whole brand new back four before you can sort out the rest.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you said there. Before we end this, who do you think could be the next manager to start next season?
This is the issue now. Who is going to work with Daniel Levy? This is what you got to think.
Yeah.
You've got an ambitious manager is not going to work with Daniel Levy because he's going to be like, you know what? He hasn't backed any of the ambitious guys that have worked at Tottenham. Yeah. So actually, I'm out. I'm out. So you then have to look at when people are mentioning Graham Potter, and I'm like, Graham Potter, he hasn't improved Brighton. He's only improved how they play. And people go and give you these stats. They're next, they're next to goals, one of the top in the league. If we lose Harry Kane, then we're going to be Brighton. All right, because the thing is, Brighton are very easy to open up. They need
those attackers. They need those attackers. Yeah,
exactly. But even then, even if they're attacking, they're expecting goals, they're still conceding them. And it's just because the way the style of football that Brighton play is that they'll attack, create chances, but actually going back the other end, you'll get one or two chances which teams are putting away and they're putting them to bed. So he could come to Spurs and it might make no difference at all to what's going on.
Having said what you said earlier about how Graham Potter or any manager might not want to come to Spurs because of Daniel Levy, to sort of play devil's advocate, though, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for people, especially like Graham Potter, who are managing Brighton right now.
But yeah, it could be. But is it the right move for him at the end of the day? Should he wait for another club that he let him stay at Brighton for a bit? Should he wait for another club that might actually back him? Because at the end of the day, there's going to be other opportunities. If he keeps playing the football he does, he'll get an opportunity elsewhere and probably be backed at the end of the day. So it's a case of, at this present moment, there is no one that comes to mind right now, but it needs to be sorted soon. Because if we don't get that manager in and you don't get the players in, it's going to be a long, hard season. And you think this one's bad? Next year ain't going to get any better. And we're going to be back there for most of it, hopefully.
Should Graham Potter come to Spurs, then let us know what you think in the comments below. And also let us know which manager could come replacement of Mason. Bad circumstances we're speaking on, but good to speak to you. And we'll catch up soon.
Nice one. See you later. Bye.
Cheers.